Hey everyone, welcome back to our off-market investor challenge sponsored by Launch Control. Today, we're focused on outsourcing like a pro, and I am absolutely honored to be joined by our guest hosts, Brad Bone and David Olds. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Absolutely amazing. Can't wait to get started today. Super excited for everything we've got.
Awesome. David, your volume's a little low. If you want to pump that up a little bit, I think we'll be able to hear you a little bit better. And yeah, so for everyone just tuning in, yeah, that's better. For everybody just tuning in, a couple of things. As we go through this presentation today, we want to get your questions in. We want to be able to kind of tailor our conversation to what you need to learn for your business. Use the comment section for that. Get your questions in early and often. If we can't get to them in real time, we'll get to every question in the Q&A section at the end. And for those of you who don't know Brad and David, the reason why, one of the many reasons why I'm honored to have them here joining us today is because they're a classic example of great success stories in real estate investment, where in both cases, both gentlemen were extremely successful and are extremely successful investors on the real estate investment side. They've got thriving real estate businesses, but they recognized gaps where in the business building process for REI, where other people were getting stuck in the mud, spending too much time on nonprofit driven activities, and they came up with solutions to alleviate that for people. They saw challenges in their own business. The solutions that they came up with were problem solves for the industry at large. And so that combination of real world boots on the ground experience in REI and know-how combined with exactly where the gaps are in this industry is what makes them absolutely invaluable coming on today to talk about their solution. So guys, starting with you, Brad, can you give everybody just a quick kind of elevator pitch introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Brad Bone. I've been a real estate investor since 2015, and I actually live in California. Since 2018, we've worked in the Jacksonville, Florida market. So we're a virtual investor. We've done fix and flip, wholesale, rentals, all exit strategies, innovations now as well. So that's what we do on the real estate side, and then we also have an AI platform that we work with investors on as well.
Where are you at in California again? I forget.
Bakersfield area. So
Bakersfield.
Okay. North of LA. Yeah.
Nice. I used to live in Redondo Beach, so I was not close, but not necessarily far, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, David, how about yourself? We can get the quick elevator pitch in.
Quick rundown. Yeah, I'm actually located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so the opposite side of the world, but we're over here in the mountains in tax-free Tennessee, which is amazing. I've been here since 2009 when I became just a full-time investor. Just started out actually was a rehabber in Florida, but when I moved here, became a wholesaler, did over 1,600 deals, and along the way, bought over 100 rental properties and goodness, rehabbed a ton of just over and over tons and tons of properties. And then a couple of years ago in 2001, we opened EZREI Closings, and we are the choice for serious investors nationwide, where we help them get all of their transactions closed. So we're sort of that middle person between the investor and the title company, and we just take all of that paperwork off of their plate. So super excited to talk about that and scaling today.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to dive into it. I just want to do a quick reminder for everyone before we jump in that this has been a month-long workshop series. And the idea was that these series will help you build up to the point of having a highly scalable business that does not require 40 hours of your time, right? Which is a big part of what we're talking about today in outsourcing. The Launch Control YouTube channel, which I can post in just a moment here in the chat, so you guys have access to it. If you just go to the live tab of that, you can rewatch any of the replays from the earlier presentations this month, where we went over mentorship. Mike Hambright from Investor Fuel was on for that. Building up the scalable REI systems. We had Ty Garrett from DataFlick and REI Sift came on and gave some absolute gems of information on the data side and how to utilize that. We went over setting up your marketing machine last week, and now we're going to talk about outsourcing. So, David, you and I in particular have talked about this on a couple of occasions
Yeah.
where in the life cycle of a deal, right,
Yes.
from where you go from like finding a deal to that money hitting your account, there are
Yeah.
some key areas in each part of the funnel that you can outsource, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And so, each of us kind of represents a different part of the funnel where it just makes sense to outsource
Mhm.
for your business. So I'm going to talk a little bit about outsourcing at the outbound lead gen side. Brad, once a lead hits, once a lead is coming in, getting into that sales conversion side so you can really kind of close out as many deals as possible is your purview. And then David, like you already mentioned, transaction coordination. I can't tell you how many people that we work with at Launch Control that see their businesses grind down because they did really well on the marketing and sales conversion side. And now they've got paperwork to deal with transaction coordination, and they're dealing with other dispo issues, and they're just turning their back literally on the deal flow. And when they turn back around, it's empty. Right. So it's the power of outsourcing through you for that very reason. Amazing.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, just the astronomical number and percentage of properties and contracts that die at closing. And then, we'll also talk about how our clients are, just really exceeding that number, actually having a 50% higher close rate. So yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely want to talk about that so we can help some people.
Awesome. All right, so let's jump into it. Again, if anybody's just joining, get your questions in to the chat now. We'll get to everything either in real time or in the Q&A. And if you're watching this on replay, which I know a lot of you might be, don't be hesitant about asking questions there either. Just put them in the comments. We're all going to monitor those comments. If it's anything that's specific for Brad or David, we'll make sure that we get that over to them so we can get those direct answers for you. So again, don't be hesitant. Get us questions whenever you happen to be watching this. All right, so guys, we're talking about at the beginning of the funnel, right? Where launch control can really help in the sense of being able to outsource is in the lead gen portion of the funnel. Because if you think about all of your active versus passive marketing, so if you're doing text messaging with launch control, if you are yourself doing some cold calling, you've got setting up all of your direct mail campaigns and kind of managing that with whoever your mail house is. There are a lot of small admin tasks which are important, but they're trainable admin tasks that you don't need to do, right? Because at the end of the day, where all of your money is made in your business is when me, the seller, calls you and says maybe, and you turn that maybe into a yes, right? Like that's where all of your money is made. So we want to look for ways to cut out those tasks that you don't need to do so that you can focus all of your time and attention, even if it's, 15 very, very, very valuable hours per week where you're making 5-10 grand an hour, basically, spending all of those time on those discovery calls where you're getting conversions. So with launch control, you have the opportunity to do all of the texting yourself, and that's going to take a set amount of hours. You could also work with a direct mail company, and like I said, you'd have a set amount of hours that you would have to admin hours you'd have to dedicate to that, managing that. You could have a separate cold calling company, and you managing all the time with that. Or you could just outsource everything to us via our done for you service Launch Leads. Now, Launch Leads, what we're going to do is take the data that you provide us in your core markets. We're going to text all of that data, and anybody that is any seller that's conversation ready, we're going to, one, push that to your CRM, and two, we're going to send you a text message because everybody reads text messages, and you're going to see that right away, right? When you get that text, you're going to call that seller in the next 5 to 10 minutes, speed to lead. And when you do that, you're going to see your conversion percentage on the deals that are coming in through your marketing channels go through the roof, because we're able to just isolate this so that you're able to just pick up discovery call ready conversations, put all of your time, all of your energy, all of your focus into that, and you're doing it quickly. Right? The amount of leads that get converted through our team versus even the metrics we have for the most high performing solo teams in the launch control user base, meaning like they've got their own VAs in place or their own acquisitions people in place. And then as compared even further to just the general subscriber base, worlds better when they're using launch leads, because it's our proven systems, it's our proven content, it's our proven follow-up cadences, and most importantly, speed. And it's the fact that we push those warm leads and we double ping you, CRM and text, to make sure that you're on it with these leads that are coming through. Again, you're going to see that conversion percentage go way up. And in order to make that whole beginning of the funnel easier to manage, easier to outsource, we've got 2 new offerings that we're rolling out through Launch Leads in the next month or so. We're going to have the ability through Open Letter to integrate your direct mail as well through our team, and we're going to offer cold calling services. So when you combine those 3, where you've got your primary passive and your primary active channels, and you've got one team managing all of that, you've got a rare opportunity as an investor to completely streamline that front end portion of the business, and again, focus all of your time, all of your energy, all of your output on converting those seller leads. You guys have any questions about that? I mean, I know we might get some questions from the audience, but if you guys have any important feedback, I'd love to hear it.
I think it's amazing. I mean, I know way back in the day when we were doing a lot of texting, manually doing it, it was absolutely crazy. And I love that you guys it's just basically a done for you service. It's just phenomenal, because the thing that we're all going to talk about here over and over again is the successful people, the clients that I have that are the most successful do have a very streamlined business, right? They've scaled it. They've taken all of the things off of their plate that they should not be doing. And, they're just focusing on revenue generating activities.
Yeah, I love that. So for everybody, if you do want to just grab some more information first, if you're kind of in the evaluation stage, you want to learn a little bit more about launch leads, you can scan this QR code, or of course, if you're watching this on the replay, you'll be able to just scan down. We'll put links to everything in the notes below, whichever is quickest for you. So leave that up for just a second. And then finally, yeah, go for it, Brad.
Yeah, I got a quick question about launch leads. Do you manage that out of your own account, or are you in the client's account running that? How's that work?
In the client's account, and it can be we have different options depending on your subscription level. So we've got a launch leads package that is tailored to people that have our beginner light account. The vast majority of not the vast majority, but the majority of people on launch leads are on our core package, the middle group. And the reason being is that when people get to that core package, it's at the point in their business where they have to make a decision. They're either going to build a team or they're going to outsource, right? So now they get to that decision, that inflection point in their business building, where they go, okay, if I have to hire for this, I'm going to have to interview, I'm going to have to hire, I'm going to have to train, I'm going to have daily huddles, I'm going to have to review metrics and performance, I'm going to have performance improvement. If that person leaves, I'm going to have to start that whole process over and remanage it. Or I could just put this under my marketing budget, outsource it to launch leads, and let them do all of that for me. And because I'm a solo entrepreneur, option B sounds a hell of a lot easier than taking on all of that myself. So we see a lot of people going where they're running the light account themselves and then go, okay, I got to scale up. I'm just going to stick with launch. I'm going to let them do this and handle that. And then I can avoid hiring a team at this point, right? And they can move into it. Now, it's a great question, Brad, because we're gonna transition to you next. And the next position that they would think about hiring, and maybe hiring too soon, is an acquisitions rep. Right. And so it's when they're framing out that scalable framework for their business, these are the considerations that they need to have early. Right. So it's, again, we didn't plan this transition, but it's a perfect transition for you to kind of be able to go into your section here, because once they've got launch leads in place, they're not messing with the management of people and processes on the lead gen side. There's ways to create more efficiency on the sales conversion side. So I'm gonna actually hand the keys over to you. If you want to present, I'll stop sharing, and you can pop up your screen and take control of the ship.
All right, sounds good. I'll go ahead and present. Let's see.
This is always the scariest part of a presentation for me. It's the transition and sharing my screen.
Yeah.
All right, I think this is it.
You got it.
See that?
There we go.
Okay,
Now we got double grads.
All right, so RiverXAi is our company, and we're in the AI appointment setting, that space. And so our company helps real estate investors get onto AI appointment setting. So really where we're at is between launch leads and qualifying really it's kind of like re-engaging the seller, getting that person over to an appointment is how we think about it. It's that middle ground that's so critical that a lot of times you have lead managers doing, trying to re-engage that seller or get that seller onto an appointment. So the problem with follow-up in real estate is that, leads slip through the cracks. There's inconsistent follow-up. Response times are slow. These are all things we all know about. It takes 5+ follow-ups to get someone to closing. There's so much here that's like we've often had our team do, or we do ourselves as if we're solo entrepreneurs. And the truth is, AI's here, and AI can help us do a lot of this stuff. So I think that's where there's a lot of benefit. When I started thinking about when AI became popular a couple of years ago with ChatGPT coming out, I know it's been around before that, but it really hit our radar screen a few years ago. Like, my thought was the biggest impact it can have for our industry is in re-engaging sellers and follow-up. Because if we can crack that, like that's going to drive deal flow. So the important part is you want to pick the right platform. And there's a lot of AI platforms out there, a lot of AI bots that might look flashy, but you want to make sure you have the right platform and a platform that actually works in the real estate industry. So you want it to be multi-channel. There's some AI bots out there that are kind of going all in on voice. I think that's a little bit risky, because if you go all in on voice, the problem with that is there's some legality still that they're trying to figure out with voice calling. But I think more than that, no AI voice really it can build true rapport the way a human being can. In fact, if there's an AI bot that can build rapport, no matter how good they are, it's always going to be fake, because it's still a computer that really doesn't have any empathy and love in its heart. So I think my opinion is, let's let AI do the things that machines should be doing, and then turn the trust building conversation over to human beings. We're always going to be better at that. And I think that makes you a more authentic business anyway. Like, if grandma that we bought the house from someday finds out that really nice guy she was talking to was really just a computer, I don't know if that's the kind of business we want. So the way our platform, go ahead.
Let me jump in real quick and support that. Launch Control has been in the texting space since 2018, right? And so we know, kind of backwards and forwards what the carriers expect and how the kind of shifts in carrier best practices have played out over the years. And what I can tell you is, even like going back to earlier telecom communications, like back in the early 90s, is that anything that could be deemed as kind of duping the recipient or kind of creating that anything could be seen as duping the recipient or creating kind of a false impression of who they're communicating with will very quickly, in my experience, get flagged as a potential spam or scam, right? And once you get flagged as spam or scam anywhere in the telecommunications space, it's a killer, right? And the reason why those things end up getting regulated into non-existence is because they're protecting people, right? So when you leave the empathy for people and not let not dupe people into thinking that they're talking to somebody, you have a much longer survival rate than you do if you
Yeah.
go too all in on that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. That's a great perspective. Yeah. So so you want to picking the right platforms is super important. I think there's some AI platforms that are really pushing to, hey, let's let AI close the deal and everything. I wouldn't go that direction. I would let AI do the heavy lifting that we all do in real estate, which is engage sellers, get them back on an appointment, and then let a human being actually close and have the trust building, empathy building conversation. So robust platform on the back end. You want it just to be you don't want it just to be a bot that like pushes out text messages or emails. You want it to, like, what happens if that person doesn't respond? What happens if they do respond? You want a back end platform. Integration is super important, especially in the real estate industry. We all have CRMs, or a lot of us do, and we don't want another platform to have to manage. So if we can integrate those two and make sure that there's seamless communication between an AI platform and your CRM, it's just going to make your life a lot easier. So that's important. You want cutting edge technology. You don't want something that's stuck in the dinosaur days of a couple of years ago. You want something that's keeping up, and then user friendly interface, of course. I think the last one is really important that people don't talk about. You can do demos with AI companies and they can look really flashy and interesting, but if they don't deliver, if deliverability is not good, none of that matters. So the platform we work with they've spent $20 million building tier 1 connections to the phone carriers so they can bypass Twilio, and deliverability does really well. So just to kind of show you what all that looks like, multi-channel for us, and just so you know, I'll get into this in a few minutes here, but the platform we're using is called WooSender. WooSender's actually one of the biggest, most well-respected AI platforms in the industry. And so what we do is we help real estate investors get on that. We provide support, automation, integration, all that kind of stuff. But so what we're looking at here is WooSender. SMS, email, voice calling, ringless voicemails. Those are the 4 platforms, or the 4 channels that platform uses to engage with sellers. And then when a seller responds, says something like 10 o'clock works, let's schedule an appointment, the AI is immediately scheduling an appointment, putting it on your calendar, doing the reminders, setting, doing the reminders all the way up 15 minutes before the call, just to make sure the hold rate is good. And this is where I think, connecting with launch leads is so important. Launch leads brings the leads in. Now you need something, either you need to do it or you need a platform that can do it. Get those onto an appointment, or if you have an appointment and something happens, goes into follow-up, you need a platform that continually reaches out to that person and tries to get something set up to where we could close. Pipeline and stages. This is what it looks like. WooSender can actually be used as a CRM, but oftentimes we're just plugging into another CRM, and it becomes kind of the AI platform for that. And then a trainable AI is the other thing. This is where you can really trick out the AI. You can, if a person responds in a certain way, like, hey, do you buy mobile homes? And maybe you do, or maybe you don't. You want to train the AI to respond the right way. So for the most part, the AI platform we work with is focused on setting appointments, but sometimes there's going to be responses that come in that aren't really about setting appointments. They're about something else. They're about like clarification on something, and we can train the AI to respond the right way. So this is where you can get into qualifying the lead. Maybe we want to qualify the lead further before we push it over to a human being. And that's where this all happens. So the way, when you think about integration between a CRM and an AI platform, there's a little bit of a visualization on what it looks like. So let's say there's an unresponsive lead that comes in, and then that's going to trigger the AI platform to start running a sequence that's specific for unresponsive leads. So that AI platform starts running that. Let's say, something like launch leads comes in, maybe we can't get a hold of that person. They talk to launch leads, but for whatever reason, we can't get a hold of that person. So we move it in our CRM to unresponsive. Then WooSender, the AI platform, starts working that. And it's got a sequence that can go out kind of as long as you want. And then it either responds positively or it doesn't respond. One way or another, it responds, eventually an appointment set, and back to the CRM. The CRM's updated. And so that's how leads stay updated across both platforms. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea on how we integrate. And the idea is really integration is based on stage change. So changing from one stage to the next, that's going to move something over in the AI platform. So the solution really is RiverX with WooSender. WooSender being the, sorry, a little bit of breakup, it sounds like. But I'm just reading some of the notes here. Anyway, the solution being RiverX with WooSender. WooSender is the platform we use, and RiverX is our company. We provide support, integration. We'll provide custom templates built for real estate investors. So we help you get onto WooSender. WooSender is a great platform. They're just not real estate investors. So we have specific things we need in our industry, like connecting to a CRM. That's super important, things like that. So that's what we provide. And a little bit about them. They're the leading AI-powered appointment setting platform for sales teams in the industry. They've got about 56,000 users. Cutting edge conversational AI tech. They use a selective language model that's it's not built on ChatGPT or anything like that. It's a selective language model, and they spent about $20 million on deliverability. So deliverability is cutting edge. The U.S. Army uses them for all of their recruiting. So it's a secure, solid platform. What we're doing is helping real estate investors get access to that same technology that the Army uses. And what makes it so effective? Like we said, there's multiple channels, and then it's full comprehensive. The deliverability is important, and this thing actually works. We end up getting about 3 extra deals a month generated by AI appointment setting. So that represents probably about a third of our deal flow. But AI working in our system and generating deals, or generating appointments that turn into deals. And there's a little bit about us. We're the official real estate investing partner of WooSender. We provide dedicated support, custom templates, pre-trained AI. We're not a middleman. We're not marking something up. You actually get a little bit of a discount when you work with us. In fact, if you go direct to WooSender, they're going to send you over to us anyway, because they know we're going to give you the best chance of succeeding, because we know the real estate investor industry. Cost, $2,000 a month. It's really the cost of a cheap VA. So if you can afford a cheap VA and get the power of, 20 VAs, however you want to think about it, then it's worth it. Really, one deal pays for itself for the year. And we're ending up getting about 3 a month is what we've been averaging over the past 18 months. Not all those, there is some fallout on that. So it's not that we close all of those, but you apply a, 20, 25, 30% fallout to that, and you're still closing, somewhere around 2 deals a month from those deals. So you plug in launch leads, let it qualify, and set appointments. I think that's a winning strategy. And then David Olds, you plug in that on the back end, you got a pretty good plan.
Brad, that's amazing. I remember when we were running our wholesaling company, and I had like 8 people on the acquisition side, but 2 or 3 of them were just like basically setters, just doing exactly what AI does right now. And I was paying far more than $2,000 a month. I promise you, most of those 3 people were like $35,000 to $40,000 people. So I absolutely love what you're doing. I think anybody not doing it is either they're just wasting leads, right? Because there's stuff
Mhm.
sitting in their CRM, or they're paying too much to get it done. So yeah,
Right.
100%, what you've got there will pull the gold out of your CRM. There are a lot of leads, even if you talked to them once 3 months ago, time and circumstances changes everything. And, you need to stay on top of those people and stay front of mind, or they're just, when they do get ready, they're going to call somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. We actually had a deal back in February that it's actually our best deal we've ever done. It was a 6-figure deal.
Mhm.
And I went back and looked at it. AI, WooSender was the one that set the appointment. There was 5 touches over 3 days. Finally got the person to respond, and within seconds, it's setting an appointment.
Mhm.
And then we ended up closing that deal. So I look at it like, would my team have done that? Would I have been that persistent? Probably not. Would we have gotten the deal? Who knows? But AI responded when it needed to respond. And got
Nice.
that deal. So.
All right.
Hey, Brad, if you can stop the screen share, I can go ahead and put David's up.
Yep. Let's see. There we go.
There we go.
All right. Look at us. We're like a bunch of 15-year-old boys here understanding how technology works. This is amazing. Anytime I need something fixed with my phone, that's who I'm looking for, like a 12-year-old. Well, cool, guys. Thank you again. Thank you so much for having me on here. Definitely fired up to be alongside two titans, Launch Control and RiverXAi, because together, what we're going to talk about, and my job here is to kind of bring this home. We represent that full stack of services that investors need to grow, right? So again, I'm David Olds. I'm the founder of EZREI Closings. I've been an investor for 20 years, like I talked about in the very beginning, closed over 1,600 of my own deals, which is a ridiculous amount. And today, my team at EZREI Closings, we've worked thousands of transactions nationwide for investors just like you. So while all of that while scaling one of the largest wholesaling operations in the country. And like I said, now helping investors all across the United States stop losing deals, right? Our goal has been to help investors just like you start running their businesses like the pros. So the reason that I was asked to be here today is very simple, right? Leads and appointments are incredibly powerful. You have to have those. But if you can't actually get the deal across the finish line, you're just not going to get paid. And that's what we specialize in, right? Making sure that just that chaos at the closing table does not kill your business, because it happened to me and it was absolutely brutal. So what I want to walk you through today is literally how the professionals scale, how our best clients have scaled, not by grinding harder, but by building that leverage into your business, the same leverage that you're going to get from Launch and the same that you're going to get from RiverXAi. So here's the thing, and Michael alluded to this at the very beginning. Here's the brutal truth. Hustling harder, that's not growth, right? It's literally quicksand that you get stuck in, because the harder you thrash, right, the deeper that you sink in. And, you probably already know that, right? You've got this voice in your head saying, I cannot keep running like this. Something has to change. There was a point in my career when I was wholesaling, and we were at a very small operation where I was working 14 and 16 hours a day. And that is ridiculous. That is not a recipe for success in your personal or business life. And that change, right? The change that I needed was leverage, right? And that's what we're talking about here today. So leverage means, one action that can create an outsized result, right? So like moving a lever to push a boulder, you push once and something 10 times bigger can move. So in business, what we're talking about here today is leverage by stacking systems, people, and processes so that you can multiply your efforts instantly, right? So you put that same amount of effort in, but you're getting 10x the output. That's the difference between hustlers and professionals, right? Hustlers are out there grinding. I've been there. I understand, right? Nobody can do it better than me. Nobody's as smart as me, all that nonsense that we believed as entrepreneurs. But professionals, right? The real CEOs, they build leverage. So for everybody who's watching, let me ask you this. If you're already generating leads, and you've already got systems for follow-up, what's the missing leverage point that keeps your business from multiplying, right? Hold on to that thought, because I'm going to get to it here in just 1 second. So let's talk about this, the missing link, and why we were asked to be here. Launch Control gives you the absolute best leads in the industry, without a doubt. RiverXAi makes sure that those leads become appointments. I was just talking about, I had to have 3 people in my business that do now what AI does instantly. overnight without even thinking about it. It's literally set it and forget it. That's front end leverage at its best. But even with the best leads and appointments, here's the reality, right? Half of all contracts nationwide fall apart before payday. Think about that. That means literally you are flipping a coin on your deals. Roughly 50% will never make it to closing. That's not a statistic that I'm making up. That's from First American Title Insurance Company. That's from the largest CRM operators in the country. 50% of deals will die. And it's not because you didn't work hard enough, right? It's not because, you didn't comp the deal correctly. It's because deals die in closing, right? Title issues that nobody ever flags, sellers who ghost you right before closing, attorneys dragging their feet, buyers, trying to renegotiate at the closing table. I talked through an issue with that yesterday. Settlement statements that come back wrong and nobody catches it. And all of a sudden, your deal's blowing up because your seller's not getting what they wanted or the buyer's seeing the wrong things, right? That's the missing link. Everybody understands that closings matter. We all know that. But what most investors miss is who's actually driving the transaction, right? And how things are being handled when they start to go sideways. This is why serious investors trust us at EZREI Closings. They know that if this link breaks, there is no payday. Everything just falls apart, right? So all the work that you did with launch to get your leads to come in, and with RiverXAi to make sure that you are following up and pulling all of those leads out of your CRM. If you can't get them closed, it's all for nothing. So we're here today not just to help you generate your business, right? All of us, we want to solidify it. We want to help you scale it and grow it. And if you're missing even one piece of this puzzle, right, your business, it's always going to stay fragile. So again, the painful truth, deals don't fall apart at the front end, right? They die in the chaos of closing. I want you to stop and think about this for a second. Think about the last deal that you lost that just went crazy. It was so bad, made you want to stick a fork in your eye, right? When you first got that deal under contract, when you got it signed, did you think it was going to be the one that fell apart? No, of course not. Every deal that starts out looking like a winner, right? Every single deal starts that way. It's once we start to dig into it that we realize it's going to be a problem, right? That's when the chaos kind of creeps in, right? The seller or title sends back some weird surprise lien that, nobody understands or can figure out, or the seller is saying, I don't know what that is. Sometimes sellers just drag their feet, right? Or they disappear altogether, because a lot of times we're talking to people that are in distress, right? Buyers, you haven't communicated, or closing's taking too long. They get cold feet, or, they want to come back, like I mentioned a minute ago, and hit you with these last minute concessions, or, try to get you to drop your assignment fee. Attorneys and title companies hate dealing with investor, closings. We're not the best. We're not the easiest. We're also the most risky. So, they're not always putting us at the front of the pack. And then again, especially if you're doing novations, settlement statements that come back with errors, absolutely a deal killer. And it's death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? So here's the kicker. It's not a matter of if this happens, it's when. And without leverage, every investor just eventually bleeds deals. Like, it just happens, right? Brad talked a minute ago, even out of the 3 that he got, he was lucky. He was only losing 1. That's 30%. That's pretty good, right? So this is why serious investors do not gamble with their deals, right? They put systems in place and people in place to make sure that that deal stays alive when the chaos hits. So hold that thought in your mind, that one you lost. I want you to really, really visualize that, right? That sleepless night where you know that you lost a bunch of money. For me, it was $72,000. And that one really stung, because in a minute, I'm going to show you exactly how the pros lock this down and make sure that it doesn't happen again, because it doesn't need to. And here's what we're all here today to talk about: the pros, right? The people that run businesses that have repeatable income. Boom, boom, boom. They're hitting those $75,000, $80,000, $100,000 months over and over again. Serious operators, right? They're able to come in and stack services like this. Launch control, amazing front-end leverage, right? Leads on demand. And literally, they will do it all for you. RiverXAi, that's that middle leverage, right? Once you've got those leads, you talk to them once, they're going to make sure that they're out there grabbing those appointments and kind of revitalizing, refreshing all of those leads that may have gone cold, because you may have 10,000 leads in your system, but it's ridiculous to think that you can make every one of those calls or send 10,000 texts, right? Let AI do that, and there's nobody better than RiverXAi. And then us at the end. Easy REI closings, we're that leverage on the backside, right? Making sure that these deals close without the chaos. And, let me be clear, without EZ, like the stack is 100% incomplete because the real money is not in signed contracts. It's in closed deals. This is where the hustlers fall apart because they're trying to do it all themselves, right? And this is why the pros bring us in. So don't just take my word for it. Let me show you a little bit about us and what we've done. Easy REI closings, built by investors. Me and my partner Heather, built by investors for investors. We didn't create this to play small, right? I didn't want to just help a couple of people. We built it because we were tired of watching title companies absolutely fumble investor deals. It happened to us when we were in, over 28 markets nationwide over and over again. So we knew there had to be a system. The problem is, right? Title companies are built for three things: retail, realtors, and refinances, the 3 R's. Easy REI closings, we are built for chaos. We are built for protecting investor closings. And we've worked over 8,000 files nationwide, right? Our clients close up to 78% of their contracts. Again, compared to that nationwide average of 50%. That's not hype. That's the leverage that you're looking for. So we're not talking about going out and getting more deals to get to 100,000 a month. We're talking about closing more of the existing deals that you have. Right. So not only are we going to take all of this off of your plate, all of the paperwork and the title work and all of that, so you can go focus on the revenue generating activities. We're going to take all of the paperwork off, and we're going to help you save more of those deals that normally would die. And this is why we're the go-to team for investor transactions nationwide, especially novations and complex deals where, honestly, most of the little VA part-time coordinators out there, or title companies, even attorneys, just throw up their hands and they kick it all back to you because they don't want to deal with it. And here's something that a lot of people don't realize, right? This is something that we brought to the industry. Our transaction coordinators, they don't just cover their own costs. Our clients actually learn how to turn this into a profit center, right? Another part of their business that actually generates more money than it costs them. And for us, we call that our pass-through play. And if you want to see how it's implemented in your business, we don't have time to get in that today. We're going to flash up a QR code here in a minute where you can book a call with us, and we will definitely talk to you about your business and how you can add that in. So again, this is why serious investors are using Easy REI closings. We have become the absolute gold standard for the professionals in this business. So if you're building a real company and you're not out there just hustling deals, you cannot afford to not run with us. We are the only investor-based, investor-obsessed, and built for chaos company out there to help you close these deals. So if you're serious about scaling, this is where you plant your flag, right? This is something that you need to add into your stack. So for everybody who's watching, here's where we're going to kind of separate the room, right? And this is where you have to take a long, hard look in the mirror. Hustlers, they're out there chasing contracts. Half the time they're missing them and running right by them, right? They celebrate busy work. They're bragging about how many deals they've got under contract, right? But we know the data tells us half of those will never close, right? Hustlers, you're living in that constant state of chaos. I know, I lived there for years and years until I was smart enough to bring in some professionals and start to figure this out. But they're always out there grinding, right? Always just starting over, creating, every new deal process from scratch, always running on fumes. But the professionals, the pros, they close deals, right? They're not measuring success by how many contracts are signed. They measure by how many wires hit their account, right? By the actual revenue. And they know that contracts, they're just promises. But closings, those are paydays, right? And here's the thing. The pros don't do this alone. There's not one single big, 6-figure a month wholesaling company out there, even some of the smaller ones that do this by themselves. There's no single operator out there doing $1 million a year. The people that are doing it, they understand how to build leverage into their business, right? They run the full stack, right? Launch control, feeding leads, RiverXAi, setting appointments, right? And Easy REI closings, making sure that those deals actually cross the finish line. Again, this is why the serious operators trust us, because we take all their hard work and turn it into paydays. So this is the question, right? If you're watching this, right, which side are you on, right? Are you on the left? Or are you on the right? Are you going to stay a hustler chasing contracts and bleeding deals, right, as much as 50% and grinding until you burn out? It's not fun. I've been there. It's brutal. Or are you going to step into the professional lane, right? Close more, close faster, work less, right? And actually build a real business. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up and bring it home here. Launch Control has showed you how to get the leads, right? RiverXAi showed you how to turn them into appointments. But here's the brutal truth. None of that matters if you don't get those deals across the finish line. You don't get paid. That's where EZREI Closings comes in. We've worked over 8,000 files. Our clients close up to 78% of their contracts compared to the 50% nationwide average. And we are the team that the pros trust when the chaos shows up. So that's it. Now you've got a choice, right? Stay as a hustler, chasing contracts, losing deals, grinding yourself literally into the ground, which is brutal, right? Or step up, operate like a pro, close more deals, close faster, work less. So again, so excited to be here for you. If those that are watching, if you're serious about building a real business, scan the QR code. We're going to jump to probably the next screen here. Book a call with me. I'll personally show you how to plug into a system, plug our system into your business the same way that our hundreds of other clients are already doing, and they're seeing their businesses grow and grow and grow. And listen, don't worry, you do not have to be doing 50 deals a month to work with us. We have plans for every investor, whether you're doing 1 deal a month or, we have plans all the way up for the mega wholesaling companies that are doing, easy 6 figures a month. So that's it. That is the complete stack. The only question is, are you ready to scale like a pro?
This is really good, David. Can I just say something real quick? I think you probably sold me on booking a call with you. The transactions, what's interesting is probably 5, 6, I don't know how long ago it was, 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. I didn't really understand what a transaction coordinator did
me either.
Exactly. It was just, I remember actually asking someone at an investor, at a mastermind, I'm like, dumb question. What exactly, why do we need a
Why do we need one? Yeah.
Like you send it to the title company, it should just get taken care of, right? Like, and we're only doing 1 deal a month back then or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the need for it. And now I feel like all my stress has to do with transactions. It's
a third of your business. It's the back third.
Yeah. And you're right. And a lot of it is just like, it's so much about communication. It's like great communication, bad communication kills deals. And it's also about asking, like these title companies, they don't know. They don't actually know what's going on. And they're just winging it oftentimes or are making assumptions. And a great TC gets answers that they need, make sure things are in line, and you just can't take that stuff for granted because we've had deals blow up so often. Anyway, this is so useful. Even if you're sitting here thinking, what's a TC for? No, it's everything. It's everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Brad. What I thought in the beginning was, because this is what I was told, right? I started in 2002. It's like, if you just find the investor-friendly title company, everything will be fine. And I did, right? I found somebody who would accept an assignment, but that didn't mean they were like on my side.
Yeah.
They were not chasing down documents. What was happening, and at the time, I didn't know there was another way, but they would send me these constant emails like, hey, we need a death certificate. Hey, we need these obituaries. Hey, we need, 2 independent parties. Hey, what's the last 5 of the social? Hey, where do they want to close? Hey, can you schedule them? Hey, can you do all of these things? And I'm like, oh, great. I have the investor-friendly title company. They're helping me. But what I didn't realize until I saw what a transaction coordinator could do when I brought them into my business was I was their unpaid helper, right? Yeah. I was out there hustling for the title company. And what happened was every time I stepped out of my role as doing acquisitions or dispositions and stepped into this, well, that part of the business crumbled, right? Or at least came to a stop. And it is literally death by 1,000 paper cuts where, 20 minutes here, an hour there, you got to run across town. You're spending, some of our coordinators, we spent 20 hours stopping foreclosures. Like if in that 20 hours, how much time could they have spent calling more sellers, right? That you've kind of regenerated for them and got those people on the hook, right? Yeah. It's just, I had no idea how important it was until I hired Heather. She actually came in as our transaction coordinator years and years ago. And, it was so important. She's literally the COO of my companies now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And then there's a way you can pass that cost on to the,
to the end buyer. Yeah. So even if you're doing 1 deal, you can pass that off to your end buyer. We have clients, our main people are on like a subscription model, and they're turning this into a profit center where they're anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 in extra profit a year. Like, it's big money. It would certainly pay for both you guys.
Often you've got a TC on the, let's say you're doing innovation, you got a TC on the other side. Kind of, do you work
Sometimes.
with them? How does that work? Okay.
Yeah, the novations are really, we love doing novations. We do a ton of them. It's actually 40% of our business. But you don't want to depend on some buyer's agent's transaction coordinator, because they typically do not understand anything that we're doing here. This isn't like I'm assigning the deal to you and you're like, if something comes up, I'm like, hey, Brad, we got to change title companies. Like, you're going to get it. Maybe I give you $500, but we're dealing with retail agents who don't understand us and our business. We're dealing with retail buyers, right? And novations, there are a lot of paperwork that kind of goes back and forth. Some should go to the title company, some shouldn't. And if the wrong documents, maybe your underlying contract, before you've changed it goes over there. Now people start getting really nervous and going, oh my God, this is a scam. What's going on? Now your buyer's out. Now that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 payday doesn't happen. So that's one thing that we are really, really experienced in. One of our first clients was all novations. So like I said, it's 40% of our business, and our clients just love it. They just love being able to drag and drop the contract into, our CRM, our portal for them, and they're off to the next deal. Like, they just know it's going to be handled. They've got a dedicated TC, everything is happening. It's just, it works so good for them. And that's why we have such a high retention, because nobody ever wants to go back to doing this themselves. It's horrible.
Yeah. Great. Well, good. I think
Michael's having some tech issues over there.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Hopopefully you can hear me. Tech was hating me today, but thankfully I had you gentlemen to run through things. You guys are old pros at this, so thanks for keeping things moving while I was scrambling in the background.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's panic inducing when one wire comes loose and something starts going sideways.
And I am not an electrician, so and here we are. Anything else that you guys wanted to cover? Are we kind of at the point where we can open this up for questions, or give people the chance to just kind of follow up with the QR codes and that kind of thing?
Yeah, 100%. If there's any questions, I think we literally, in the most simplest form, have laid out a stack for people to plug these things into their business and do more deals. Literally, you're generating leads, you're following up on them. We're going to get them closed. We actually have a program too for our clients where we'll even JV the deal with you if you want. So, all you have to do at this point is plug these three things into your business, lock up the contracts, and that's it. The rest will just happen basically on autopilot.
Yeah. And you probably mentioned this already, but it's important to remember that, we're not selling T-shirts here. Like, our assignment fee is not $5, $6, $7. It's $20,000, $25,000. And so you start stacking $20,000 chips, then that the cost of assembling that machine is a fraction of what that machine is able to bring in because of the increased volume that you're able to do.
Right. Yeah. And I've paid CEO coaches, a lot of money, 50 grand to teach me basically this. And that's the smart operators, right? The true CEOs. They understand how to turn these knobs and push these levers and get the maximum amount of results for every single lead, right? So if I'm going to pay launch, I'm going to make sure all of those leads, we're talking to them in real time as fast as possible. The people who don't answer, the people who just aren't ready, geez, I'm going to use Brad to make sure that those people are being touched constantly and we're staying in front of them. And we're always first in mind when something does come up, right? And then with us, we're going to make sure that more of those deals close than honestly you would on your own. And the data shows that it's almost over 50% more deals you'll get closed.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I want to mention as we wrap things up, and you mentioned like taking that kind of high level CEO operator perspective, or, you can take it as like the 1,000-yard view kind of thing, right? Part of the reason why I try to bring together great launch control partners like yourselves is that, people in the REI industry, you're going to hear when you just get our marketing separately, when you follow us on social media separately, you might not always see the way that these important services connect and feed
Yes.
off of each other,
Right.
right? And so while it's very, very, very important for your outbound marketing to talk to our team and to really take a deep dive on how we can help. Same for you, Brad. Same for you, David, right? To talk to our individual teams, but also to take a step back and go, okay, how do these great outsourced opportunities that I have in front of me, how do I connect to them and find even more efficiencies in between so that my system works extremely well, right? You really, as a business builder, you have to be able to take that 1,000-yard view.
Yeah, and that's the so much of the business has changed in 23 years since I've been doing this, where I don't have to hire in people to be sitting in my office, right? You can literally, remote from your living room, run a 6-figure wholesaling business, and you don't have to have all this overhead and payroll, right? Because you can bring in absolute experts that really you're paying them for the work that they're doing. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm not having to front load, 50, 60, $70,000 in payroll every single month. And then I've got that additional pressure of, oh my God, do I have a closing? Do I even have the revenue coming in? So no, it's absolutely amazing. The industry has changed in that sense so much and gotten so much easier to go out and do deals. And, I know we didn't talk about markets, but now is the time to be getting in and doing these deals. Rehabbers, we just had a rate drop. Rehabbers are getting excited because more people are going to want to buy their deals. So if you're a wholesaler, rehabbers, their demand is going to be going up. People are going to look back in 5 years and go, God, I wish I'd have bought more deals in 2025 when it was at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the old adage, like the best time to invest, or the best time to get them involved was yesterday, and the next best time is today, right?
That is true. Yeah. People say that to us all the time about all of our properties. And I'm like, bro, we thought the world was ending. We were just buying because we knew it was the right thing to do in 2009, 10, 11, and 12,
Yeah, and when it comes to as you kind of advance your business, you get started, you advance your business, and you work with people like ourselves. I think one of the things that often goes overlooked is that we are not in competition whatsoever. Like, we love when somebody is using all 3 of these systems, because if we're generating a bunch of inbound leads, that gives Brad and his team more to work with, and they're able to create a better conversion process, which just reflects really well on your marketing efforts. And then when we're able to hand those contracts over to you, David, and you guys get everything done through transaction coordination, so they can keep their focus where it should be on closing deals, like, the whole process is more efficient, and it makes all of our jobs easier, not just the investors. Like, the investor is going to make a bunch of money from it, but we are going to have a much easier run with our client base, because each of us is helping each other create efficiency in their businesses,
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you in a little moment of transparency, when we started this company, we're like, isn't it enough to be just the greatest transaction coordinators on earth? And what I realized, is our clients, they need help in other areas. This is why we're always so excited and really honored to come in here and partner with you guys, is to make sure that my clients get the best leads, right? I want my clients to have the best follow-up, and AI right now is where that is at, right? Because honestly, the more deals that they get, the more they're going to send to me. We're all going to win together. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've kept you gentlemen long enough, so let's wrap this one up. Everyone, either live or watching the replay, you've got the QR codes on the screen there to connect with us at Launch Control for launch leads, or to learn more about the process. Actually, David, let me share my screen, because we got one more.
Sure.
You can let yours down. I'm going to put mine up. We've actually got one more QR code there that I want to make sure everybody gets access to. Let me put this up. All right, there we go. All right, so I'll leave this up for just a second, but you've got opportunities here to scan and connect with the launch, to learn more about launch leads, to connect to the launch leads team. Third one down the line, to connect with Brad and his team at RiverXAi, and finally to book a meeting with David and his team for transaction coordination at EZREI Closings. And as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, for watching this on replay, you're going to see links to all of this below in the description and notes below. And also remember that if you have questions when you're rewatching this, don't hesitate to ask. Put those in the comment section. We're going to monitor that closely, and we'll make sure that we answer anything that you guys needed a little bit more information on.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.
It was fun.